routine throughout the week, your film preparation, if you're sticking to that, like you said early on, it's easier to get back on track, whether it's a huge make or, a big miss.
They call me the Iceman.
I tried to make the world shrink to about a 3-yard by 3-yard little spot. I couldn't even really see the front line in front of me. It was my holder and me and my few little steps.
For you guys that may know Brett but don't know, I mean, the guy knows what he's talking about.
Man, y'all order my dog's book, man. The Kicker's Bible.
Roll another one 'cause I'm winning in my photo.
Welcome, specialists, coaches, dads of kickers, moms of punters, relatives of long snappers, and dogs that shag kickoffs to the Iceman Podcast. It's the show with cold questions and even cooler guests, and I am your host, as always, Brett Kelly. Today, I'm thrilled to have a very special guest, someone who a lot of kickers in this generation have watched and emulated. That's Jason Myers, the exceptional place kicker for the Seattle Seahawks, hailing from Chula Vista. Jason is a 2-time Pro Bowl selection, once held the Seahawks franchise record with a 61-yard field goal, had a streak of 37 consecutive field goals, led the NFL in scoring in 2022 with 143 points, and lucky today because we get to dive into his career and his path to where he's at now. Jason, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jason, we like to start with a Mythbuster section, all right? I'm just going to come out hot off the gate. You ready for this? Mythbuster section presented by the Kicker's Bible. You can find that on Amazon. Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit? What's a memorable moment from your career that had a lasting impact on you? It could be from the NFL, it could be from your journey, but something that kind of sticks out. And, what was the lesson that it taught you?
For me, probably my rookie year, just coming from a small school, not a lot of people around watching our games. I remember I had an opportunity to have a game winner on the road at Baltimore. Just a crazy way that it came about. We're trying to throw a Hail Mary. Blake Bortles gets a face mask. They move it up, and I had an opportunity to hit a 53. And I just remember that, coming from where I came on a small school and then being on the road, hitting a 53 to win it. And just remember the feeling of seeing so many fans, but not hearing a single fan. And that was kind of a good moment for me to be like, oh, you know what, you're able to lock in, do your job. And, the moments after that in the locker room with all the guys, like, that's what you live for. So I think that was one that I always go back to. Every kicker goes through stuff, but man, getting to that opportunity and coming through for the team, that's when I was like, all right, you can do this for a long time. So I always kind of go back to that one. That's kind of was a big kickstart for me.
Sure. What a euphoric feeling, right? And just like you're saying too, I always ask guests about that moment when they're like, hey, I've arrived, or I know I can do this. That was your moment, right?
Yeah, it was, on the road, in November, some tricky weather, just being able to come through after, just like I said, a crazy way it came about. But, and then just, the locker room, being with the guys and just celebrating, as a teammate, that's what you live for. So that was kind of my kickstart for me, I'd say.
Man, I get chills just thinking about that too, from being in that situation. And it's kind of cool what you're talking about with, like you seeing all the crowd and seeing the people, and then it kind of the sound just going away. It's like Brian Jackson, someone we both know. He put me onto the Legend of Bagger Vance, and I'll show that movie to our specialists. So specifically the scene where he's talking about being in the zone, right? And that feeling of, yeah, you can see everything, but it kind of, the quietness, it dims, so you can't hear anything at all. That's cool that you've experienced that, or you feel that too.
Yeah. It goes so loud that it kind of gives you like an inner peace in a way where it's so loud you can't talk to your holder, you can't say anything. All you hear is your own voice in your head, and it's one of the coolest experiences to kind of be able to kind of grasp that in your mind, that it's just you and the ball, really. So it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, okay, just like me, you're hailing from California. Okay, how did you make it out to Marist College? I know we kind of generally talked about before, and what was that experience playing at a small FCS school like for you?
Didn't really have any offers coming out. I was nowadays kids are starting so young kicking. Grew up really into soccer, playing high level soccer. Had an opportunity to kick in my high school, loved it, fell in love with it. Knew that that's what I wanted to do in college. So Marist came calling late, Poughkeepsie, New York. Just a ways from any family that I had. You grow up fast. You're playing college football. It's fun. And just, you're just getting after it. And it's just, you're meeting great people, more teammates that, that are friends for life. But it's definitely a learning experience. It's a hard road sometimes, and you just want to go home, but it's a 6.5 hour flight home. You can't just do it every other weekend. So you learn to grow up. You learn a lot about yourself, off the field, and then it's just kind of figuring things out. As a young man, trying to just create your own life for yourself.
Yeah, I feel that too. I think, was the initial feeling when you moved there like, oh shit, what am I doing here? Or was it, hey, this is a new adventure and I'm ready for it?
I think it's obviously a little bit of both, coming straight out of high school. And that was the first time I ever saw snow, was when I went out there to visit it. My parents looked at me like, you really want to come here? And I was like, it's cool. They want me. It's an opportunity. Let's make the best of it. And whatever happens, happens. So I think it's a little bit of both there, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, the opportunity, like, again, from my own experience too, it's like, okay, there's a school in 3,000 miles away and I know no one out there, and they may not have the same culture or customs that I do, but like you said, it's an opportunity for someone that believes in you to give you that shot. And as your career has shown, that's all it takes sometimes. So I know, people have talked about your path. Like, I watched you train there for a few years, I believe, seen on, Instagram posts and stuff. It says you worked here as a valet. Tell us about that in between time and when you were trying to make it into the NFL, what that process was like.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I went to Marist. I was very raw. You know, we didn't have the money that a lot of programs had. Obviously, it's a small FCS school. So I was, when I get in ruts, I was looking on YouTube at videos on what I was trying to work on, and so when I left there, I was like, okay, what's next in life? I went back to San Diego. Went to a old sporty good place. That's a great family friend of ours, where I'd work in the summers just to kind of give me a couple months to see what I want to do, in the real world. And then, just randomly, 4 months after that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try kicking a little bit. Maybe I can play a little arena football or something. And like 2 weeks later, San Jose Sabercats called me, up in San Jose Arena League. He said, "Do you want to come try out?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll give it a shot." So I went up there. Thankfully, my wife's from there, so you know they didn't think I was quite good enough yet, which is fine. And so my now father-in-law at the time, when I was dating my now wife, he was a member at a country club. So I'd practice in the morning. I was getting paid $200 a week under the table, and I'd work in the cart barn in the afternoons. Did that for a season. Never played there. Went back to San Diego. Got hooked up with Michael Husted. Trained with him for about 4 months, and then he had then when I went back to San Diego, started doing ballet cars at night, so I had time to work out and kick in the mornings. And then he had a specialist free agent combine in Mobile, Alabama, same time as the Senior Bowl. And it was supposed to be only guys who had workouts, been with teams, been in OTAs, stuff like that, free agent camps. But he gave me the opportunity. He's like, hey, why don't you come out? You're kicking the ball as well as anybody, so it'd be a good learning experience. And that was the first time in front of any scouts, really. So had a good night. And then the Jaguars saw me, brought me in for a workout. Did really well at the workout, and then competed with another rookie that they had there and beat him out, and then competed with Josh Scobie, who had been there for a while. And then got opportunity there and played in Jacksonville for 3 years. So it took me a couple seasons after college, which was fun. It's a long road, but again, it's like going out to Marist. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about what it takes to be a pro, really, quickly. and with no financial backing. But it's a long road, but I wouldn't take any other path for myself. And learned a lot about me and what it takes. So yeah, it was a tough couple of years, but a lot of people behind me support me, and I knew I had to give it a shot, so it worked out.
Brace yourselves for The Kicker's Bible. The Kicker's Bible, a specialist how-to manual born from a decade of dedication to specialists and special teams. This ain't your average football book. It's the holy grail of gridiron guidance. Dive into the wisdom of over 20 NFL specialists, including Eagles Hall of Famer David Akers and 15-year NFL vet and kicking guru Shane Graham, as they answer your burning questions to become the best specialist that you can possibly be. Whether you're a peewee rookie or an NFL veteran, this book is your secret weapon to kicking success. It's out now. Go to www.icemankicking.com/books or our Twitter bio @IcemanCoaching or Amazon and search The Kicker's Bible to get your copy today. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Now kick your feet up and let's get back to one cold episode. Yeah, absolutely. That is a long process. And it's like, what was your thought process at the time? Was it, A, I am good enough? Did you know that, hey, I have like NFL leg talent as soon as you left Marist? And B, was there a plan B? Was there like, all right, I'm kind of into cars, or I'm into, what was your, if you weren't going to make it or, try to push for the NFL, what would have been your career?
I'll say that the good thing about what Michael had going on in San Diego was that he was working with some NFL guys, some other CFL arena guys, and so I was able to kind of like kick on the same field with them. So that was a good experience for myself, seeing how they worked, what they did well, what I needed to work on. So learned a lot of experience with that as well, watching them, going head to head with them. And then, I don't know, I just kind of kept flowing. I don't think I really came up with a plan B during that process. I just kind of, I had the valet. It was giving me enough money to do it. So I just kind of just kept pushing, and, everything kind of flowed quickly. I know it doesn't always work that way for some guys, right? So yeah, there was no plan B really, I guess. Never really thought about anything. I tried to get a couple jobs, try to sell like Lifetime Fitness stuff. That didn't work out. Try getting a job at, where was I? There was like a paint store. They thought I was too quiet to be a salesman, which is fine. I know that about myself. I'm a quiet guy, but so I guess everything kind of led me down this path passively in a way, I guess. So yeah, there's no plan B. Just kind of kept working. Had a great experience there with him, kicking alongside other people that were in the league and stuff. So yeah, just kind of kept flowing with it.
Yeah, keep flowing with it. I like that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And I think too, Jason, is that the process of trying to make it, with your buying into the fact that, hey, I have no plan B. I've thought about that from a coaching perspective too. It's like, okay, I haven't really gotten it going yet, and I've had relatives or family members. Most are very supportive, but some are like, okay, well, maybe you should just think about teaching or something. It's like, no, there's no plan B. Like I very well could have another job, but I'm very convinced that this is what's for me, and I'm gonna keep going until I reach it. I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, is that a trait among great kickers? I really didn't think about the personality aspect, but kind of like cold, silent stone killers. Is that a common trait that you think runs in the league, or obviously there's more to it? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think that's a common trait. I think kickers, for what we do, are a very confident bunch. Especially in the NFL. I think you get a lot of personalities, different personalities. That's what works best for me and how I go about, the way I do things. There's other guys that are a little bit more outspoken and louder personalities, but I think it's more so kind of just really knowing who you are as a person first, to then be able to, take that into the way you work, into the way you kick. But that's what works for me. I just, I put my head down and work, and I know I'm not the most outgoing individual, but inside I'm confident, but I'm just not a, outspoken person. So I don't know if that's a common trait, but I think knowing who you are should be a common trait for sure.
That definitely displays confidence. I was gonna think that that's why I didn't make it in the NFL, because I talked too much, but probably just the fact that I couldn't make field goals at a high rate of clip. So no, that's freaking awesome. And I do remember, I'm actually a Jaguars fan too. So I remember the days with the two-tone helmets.
Oh yeah,
The 2015,
the
2016.
mustard yellow Thursday night jerseys. Yep.
Oh, that's
That was the
right.
time.
You still got one of those at home?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. That's really cool. What did you learn from that transition, from that time with the Jack? Like, for example, Jason, I watched an interview where I asked all pros about this because handling adversity, like, man, you do such a good job. And really, if you look at the numbers, you don't miss. You barely ever miss. But those few times you do, that's what separates average players from great ones, and I've watched you handle a miss, and just you're very tactical and like, nope, like I executed and it just didn't go that way. What did you learn from that experience with the Jaguars and going through adversity there?
Yeah, I think, going back to like how long it took me to get in, that road, I always go back to that. I had to work really hard and, overcome some things to get opportunity. And, like I said, I've learned from all those experiences, from going from Marist to not being in to Jacksonville. And early on in my first game of my career, I was hitting the ball really well. And all of a sudden, I just remember the first game, everything just sped up so fast, missed 2 kicks. I just went home, and my now wife, was my girlfriend at the time. She's like, "Oh, you can do this. Don't worry about it." And next game, we were playing another buddy from Marist. We only 2 that ever played against each other. We're playing him. He's been from Miami. Hit a 58 before half, then had a game winner late. Because I remember back when I was with Houston and kicking all those guys, one of the biggest things they always, harped on was, the next kick after a miss. As specialists, kickers, punters, snappers, things aren't always going to go right for how many reps we get. And it's the big ones know how to take control of what happened, being able to fix it quickly, mentally and physically, and then, making the next kick your best kick. So learn from those experiences. I've worked with the same sports psychologist since my first year in Jacksonville. We talk every Thursday night before every single game. I don't think we've ever missed a game. My wife knows Thursday night, got to go up to the bedroom. We're on the phone for an hour, whether it's a good game or bad game, we go through everything, how I felt for the week. And, it's a process. It's, good or bad, you gotta flush and get back to the next one.
Yeah, that's so helpful. What's one I think that's really cool, because I get in sports psychology too. What's one good drill that you guys like to do, whether it's like a mental gymnastic or a mental technique that you guys use or you've used in the past?
I think it's just the way I go about my kicks, and my process is what helps more in that situation. I have a routine for every single kick, whether it's, practice during OTAs, camp, preseason games, game winners. Like I have the same process that I run through for every kick, which makes every kick the same. So it's, every kick is my biggest kick, and every kick is, just a normal kick back home, on the field in the off season. So I think having a process like that you can just, you dive into, it really helps, in moments like that, good or bad, that you get back to, your zero, you get back to, here's my process, here's my next kick. I'm just going to stay in my process. Whatever happened before didn't happen. And then in games, we talk about with my sports psychologist is, he knows I'm a competitor. So, you never want to miss, and you get fired up, good and bad ways about that. But I give myself 2 minutes of real time to, whatever I want to do on the sideline, you get to do. If you need a little talking to yourself, you can. If not, and you get 2 minutes, and then it's back to the same routine. The same warm up on the sideline. Get into that same process for the next kick whenever that comes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like the 2-minute thing. That's a good, because like you said, we've got competitors and we've all been there where we're, whether it's losing it or going off on the sidelines, and then, hey, I can refocus, I can get that out. What is that process? If I give you a situation, Jason, could you take us through, okay, it's fourth quarter, 47-yarder left hash, you're at home, got a slight breeze in your face. What is your mental process, going out there, and then your approach to the ball? Could you take us through that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a short process. It starts, it is a long process, throughout, but, once we get the ball, say they're punting to us on fourth down, and it works hand in hand with the specialist I work with. I've been with Michael Dixon for this is our 6th year together now, so I know what he likes to do on the sideline. He knows what I like to do, and we've worked out a great process. So we get the ball, we go to our net. We always put our net behind our offensive side, so we switch the nets from side to side, so we're facing the same direction every time. I hit one ball, maybe 2 balls into the net, and then he does his thing depending on where we're at, and then I'm swinging on air, just getting my tempo, getting my feel, kind of feeling the wind, what it's doing at that, leading up to my process. Once it's third down, we're field goal range. I like to stand on the sideline, but back, probably around like the 30-yard line. I'm swinging. I'm looking at my line down the sideline. I'm just swinging on air, just feeling my straight ball. And then once it's fourth down, rip a little smelling salt, head out there. And I pick my spot, kind of feeling what the wind's doing out there, what I want to commit to. Once I commit to my spot, I usually stand about 2 or 3 yards behind where the spot is. And I'll kind of let the O-line and snapper get everyone set. And once I see them into a spot where I'm comfortable with, where everyone's kind of set, with their feet and stuff, I cross that 2 or 3 yards. And then that's when my kick process starts. Take my 3 steps back, pick my target, take a deep breath, do 2 over. I usually have about 2 or 3 cues that I'm running through for the week. Whether it's just short compact or, tempo or, just see the target. Just, there's like two little short statements that I say to myself. I do my little setup with my shoulders and stuff. And then, from then it's just a deep breath and then just kick. I don't like to look back up because, the target kind of changes. So I just know once I take my steps back 3, I'm set at my target. And then from then on, it's just making my best kick to there. And then that's what you can live with, right? Like the wind's going to shift. You may feel a little gust here, a little gust there, but a lot of times if you commit to that first target you had, and fully hit your best ball there, then more often than not, it's going to go in. So that's kind of my press. I like to stay back because, I've come up with, once I cross those 2 yards, it's my routine. It's my same routine every time. And it takes about, 8 to 10 seconds. And that's just the same kick every time from there.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say same kick, but they don't detail like the approach and all that. So I think that's really cool. And a lot of kickers say that, the common question when you ask kickers, young kickers, hey, what do you need to improve on? Consistency, or you're like, consistent how? Like consistent contact, consistent approach, like consistent, all that. But I think that's really cool too. I was going to ask you, picking a spot, say you're kicking from the left hash and you take your 3 steps back and you find that spot, whether it's like the H in home, if there's a scoreboard right behind it, and then you take your 2 over, just like you're talking about. Does that change? Does that location change because now you're at a different angle? You don't even think about that? What's your thoughts?
I don't like to look back up once I, because I go 3 back, take my deep breath. I used to go off of, spots in the stadium. I don't like that anymore. I kind of just visualize, all right, here's center. This ball I want to start, 2 yards left of center. So I can kind of just visualize a football 2 yards left of center. But then like once you take your 2 steps, you're changing. That's a yard and a half or 2 yards different of target when you're looking back up at the upright. So, I mean, you're not going to really change much from that point. So once I pick my target, I know my, um, my degree angle is going to be the same no matter what. So from then on, it's just hitting your best ball, your best tempo, staying in rhythm and just swinging from there.
Yeah, absolutely. What about your shoulder swivel? Where did the shoulder swivel come from?
Over the years with my technique, I'm I'm a little bit more, I guess, square than most guys. I swing a little bit more up and through than around. And so I'm really big on my path to the ball. And so I feel that as long as my shoulders and hips are square to where I want my path, it kind of just like, it's like more of like a set, like, all right, here we are. It's kind of like a golfer, right? Like a golfer has their waggle. I guess that would be considered like my waggle in a way. Like it kind of just like, not like static and like tensing up. It's just kind of like a loose, like, all right, now let's go. And then you just kind of, it's my path set. And again, it's just your best ball from there. So,
Yeah. And you're a huge golfer.
yeah, love golf. So, and, a lot of times it goes hand in hand with everything. So,
No question. No question. I think that's really cool. That is definitely beneficial to have that routine. I think that's really cool to share that with us too. What about, why is your approach more square? Why does that work for you instead of, a lot of guys like to whip their hips or, come maybe more laterally at the ball instead of straight on?
I don't know. It's just, it's kind of naturally where I started kicking. And then, when I worked with Husted, that was kind of a technique that he enjoyed teaching, and it worked well for me. And I think it works well for my body, my flexibility, my tempo. I have a little bit of a slower tempo, so it kind of keeps me, just kind of in the positions that I want to be in without having to think about it on game day.
Mhm.
You're just, as long as my shoulders, I'm throwing my right shoulder to the left panel of the ball, then my body's in the spots that I want to be in. So, I'm a little bit more of a rolled foot up through the ball than some guys. Some guys are a little bit more open foot, kind of cutting across, spinning it more. I like a little bit of a slower spinning ball. So I think it kind of just goes hand in hand with it, really.
I love it. I love it. My dad listens to these and he's like, man, you guys can get so in the weeds with the fundamentals. And I'm like, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
it's really cool. To the outside ear, they might be like, what are they even talking about?
Hmm.
But it's good stuff. Do you think much? Do you talk much? I've heard guys coach the off arm or off, hand, whether it's, how it's supposed to rotate as you go to approach the ball. Do you think about that much at all?
No, I'm not thinking about that. I feel like as long as I'm staying, tall and upright with my shoulders, um, I've never thankfully had an issue with arm placement and balance. And like a lot of the work I do in the weight room is a lot of rotational stability and staying tall on my plant leg and a stronger core. And then, it kind of just, again, it just working on that stuff has put the rest of my body in good positions. So yeah, I'm not really thinking about where my off arm is. I like it where it is. I've never really tried to fix it. I enjoy where my off arm is. So I'm more worried about, the bigger muscles, really, shoulders tall, back behind the ball, which gives me the space for my leg to come up through the ball more than around and across. So
Sure. That is the defining feature of your fundamental is staying tall and letting that leg come through. It's beautiful, man. It's fun to watch. So I like that you hit on the core strength though, because this, Jason, you won't believe it. I've had specialists in the past and I'm trying to get them to do core stability and stuff like that. And we've had knockout, drag out. I mean, they've been crying, man. You'd think I sent them to their room. They're a kid that was punished here. Why is core important? What do you do for that stuff? I'd love to hear your take on it.
yeah, so I work with Cody Smith down in San Diego. We've been working together for 6 or 7 years now. He was really big with golfers to start, and that's kind of where I, went to look for the next guy I want to train with. It's just like a golf swing, really. It's just like, you want to coil up to then recoil and let everything go, right? And if your core, your glutes, your hips are all stacked, locked, great positions, your leg is going to be able to move in a great taller motion, and you're not going to be able to you don't need to swing it hard to create speed. So we do a lot of anti-rotational stuff, whether it's with the upper body or lower body. I still squat, do everything with your normal Olympic lifts, but I definitely spend 2 days on my workouts, and it's mainly just stability from the ankle all the way through. So it's from the core, it's all the way through. And it's funny when you see some guys that are pretty heavy power lifters come in and work out with us. They struggle with just some of the band stuff we do, and it's just because it's a lot of single leg stuff, a lot of just being able to put your body in positions to create some strength, but then also do it with extreme stability. So love staying on top of my plant foot. I think that gives me a better base to this, like, again, swing the leg in a, it feels like you're swinging slower and smoother, but it's actually, you're still getting the speed without having to, overswing. And then if you're not overswinging, then your contact's 10 times better because you're seeing the ball better. And so that's kind of what I believe in, and that's what works for me.
Sure. And it kind of had something to do. I was talking with Jamie Cole recently, and he worked with Cairo Santos, right, in Chicago. And he said, Cairo, kind of similar to you, such a consistent ball striker, such a great ball striker, that he broke the mold of what Jamie thought you would need to have in Chicago, like a big leg to power through. He said that wasn't the case. Cairo was more of a good contact, consistent, and he had one of the best seasons, in Chicago history. So just like you're talking about there, it doesn't have to be as fast. It just has to be consistent and everything locked out on contact, right?
Yeah. I try and be the best ball striker I can be. And, with doing that keeps my spin down, which can fight some winds and some colder temps. Sometimes you're not going to hit this massive high spinning ball, but again, it's as long as the ball's going through the uprights, that's really all that matters. You can get more points for it going higher. So, Sundays in the fall and winter in NFL stadiums, you're getting some swirls in there. So you want the ball to be able to go as far as you can on the line that you want. And by doing that, you got to be a good ball striker and a low spinning ball, and just get it up quick, get it out quick, and then, go as far as you can before the wind hits it or the cold temps. And then, you'll make some kicks that way.
Absolutely. You have. What's your favorite Cody workout that you guys do? Is there a favorite, exercise that you're like, this is, everyone should be doing this?
We came up with a warm up together, which was kind of based off of some of like the stuff we do together. It's a lot of, we do some upper body, getting the path through the shoulder all the way to the hip, stability stuff, some anti-rotational squats, some anti-rotational single leg split squats. There's a lot of guys that come out San Diego, and I train with Nick Novak now, and they'll go to the field with him and go train with Cody, and it's it just gets all the muscles firing, right? It gets all the glutes firing, it gets the front and back of the legs going, the core, the rotational. If everything's firing together, everything's just it just makes it so much easier for your body to keep you healthier. So it's just a lot of anti-rotational, really, putting your body at a little bit of a stress with the bands to then have to work a little bit harder to keep your center of gravity and your balance better.
Yeah. Anti-rotational stuff. That's awesome. I'm excited to do that. You hear that, kids? That's what you got to work on. I bet your body feels better in general when you're doing workouts that activate all the muscles and make you run more efficiently.
Yeah. In the off season and in season for practice, I enjoy working out first before I go kick, because I feel like my body's, it's primed, it's ready to go. And then, in season, the last 4 or 5 years, I started doing stuff in the hotel before even going to the stadium, just to, some quick jumping stuff, some banded rotational stuff. Gets the body woken up, your flexibility is going quicker. It's not, if you work on it, it's not, tiring your leg out. It's really priming everything up. I do some banded stuff on the sideline before I even go out there and kick. And then, I'll do some banded stuff throughout the game just to keep everything firing. I rather stay loose that way than, hitting a million balls into the net. I honestly hit 2 balls into the net per drive, and then I just swing on air, just finding my tempo and my swing feels.
Yeah, that's another huge point, right? That high school kids need to hear is like, you don't have to hit 85 balls in the net before you go out there just to feel warm. There's other stuff
Mhm.
you can do that's not as tiring.
Yeah, for sure. I just give my 2 kicks, make sure I feel the ball. And then I'm swinging on air, just hitting those couple pointers that I want for the week. And just really locking in on those feels. So,
Gems. I love that. Gems, Jason. Question for you, okay? We talk about kickoff a lot, and I know it's changing, obviously, for you guys, but in your past, in your career, you're 33 now. Sorry, I don't mean to throw you under the bus there, but
no, you're good.
no plans, no, you don't look like you're slowing down at all. If anything, you look like you're getting stronger. Okay. How do you maintain that during the season? You're doing field goals, you're doing kickoffs, which is a thing a lot of college kickers can't do without hurting themselves. How do you maintain that throughout a 18 game season?
I mean, obviously it starts in the off season with the workouts, right? And I probably hit more balls in the off season than most guys my age. I enjoy that grind in the off season, working on stuff technically. Um, and once it comes to in season, I stay true to with my routine. You know, Coming off a game on Mondays, I get a heavy lower workout in, and then I have a couple PTs I work with. One comes up from San Diego, and then one's locally here in Seattle. Always every Monday night with them. Um, do some recovery on Tuesday, and then I do the same routine every week. Lift and kick Wednesday, lift and kick Thursday, a light lift Friday with starting the recovery. I do just a little bit of motion stuff on Saturday, and then Sunday. I don't like to really drop down too much. I like to kind of like keep going, right, and keeping the body moving and feeling fresh, but also making sure it goes hand in hand with all the work I do in the off season with the rotational stuff. So I want to keep kind of on that same path. So I don't really like to drop off too much. I like to kind of stay just going at it and just mentally stay in it, physically stay in it, and just you know you're gonna get tired, and that's what the off season's for. In the early off season, right? It's taking the time off and just working out, taking a couple weeks off from kicking, and then back to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good example of a game week. What is my brother's PT? I'm trying to get with him, get some different exercises and stuff kickers should be doing. What is your Monday routine with them? Do they just take you through some, stretching, or is it some stability stuff? Is it, what do you guys work?
Um, it's mainly on the table. I've learned early in my career that my body doesn't respond well to just your typical deep tissue massages. It takes me a couple weeks or a couple days to come back from that. So I went away from that. So we do a lot of there's a lot of cupping. There's a lot of we'll do some deep tissue stuff like in the hips to kind of release some of that. But yeah, it's cupping. It's it's a little bit more of your traditional PT kind of work, some stretching in there. Um, and it's not just the lower body, right? It's the back, it's getting the core, the psoas right. Um, so yeah, we kind of touch all that minus the deep tissue massage, really. So,
Right.
And they're in the house with the family, and so they know the family, and it's love both of them. But yeah, it's not too. I don't know the wording for it, but
Is it more range of motion stuff? Is it more?
yeah, range of motion. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it really. It's yeah, it's a lot of the cupping stuff is what kind of we use a lot more. So
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's like you can get into the weeds with this, and it's like as an athlete, you become like your own PT trainer. Like there's so many other levels that you can get into. Obviously, you do, and that's what separates the best. Is they know how to take care of stuff. What about the Saturday kind of routine? You said, what do you kind of go through with that?
so yeah, it's just like it's a little bit, getting the quads firing, a little front loaded stuff, super light. It takes me about um 15, 20 minutes. Some jump rope to make sure you get the quick twitch going. just like one or two little core things, some rotational stuff. And then I usually do like a little 5-minute jog. I do that in the morning on Saturdays, whether at the hotel, on the road, or at home. And then I just, boots, some stem on my own in the hotel, just relaxing with the feet up in the afternoon, and then ready to go on Sundays.
Absolutely. Wow, that's cool. It's cool to see what it really takes, because when I played, it was like, okay, the night before a game, we'll do a yoga session for an hour, and then we'll meditate and watch a movie, and it's time to play the next day.
Yeah.
There's so much more that you could be doing to really take care of yourself.
Yeah. And it's, a lot of it also is finding what works best for you, but then also staying committed to that. I'm a very big routine guy. My wife knows I got my routine. Like she knows the times of days where, all right, he's going to go do this. He's going to go do that. I stretch every night before bed. I have go right into the tubs and in the pool right after practice when I'm kicking. Stretch every morning when I get into facility. People quickly learn what my routine is because I'm just in the same spot every day for whatever that moment is for that part of my routine. And so it gets a little, I'm sure people get annoyed with it, but that's just I love my routine. I just stick to it. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. That's something I can definitely get behind, especially being an ex-athlete. It's like I am a creature of habit. I'm going to do the same things over and over again. And I think if you can really know what works for you and stay true to that, that's it's tough for people to do that over and over and over again. It's a discipline thing. So
yeah, and it's tough too because you're gonna miss kicks and you're gonna, oh well, maybe I didn't do this, but if you have your routine and they all go hand in hand, from the sports psychologist and the routine before a kick, your routine throughout the week, your film preparation, if you're sticking to that, like you said early on, it's easier to get back on track, whether it's a huge make or a big miss. It's you just stick to your routine and you kind of just you're so zoned in on that routine that nothing really can get in your way.
yeah, that's really cool. So when you've gone through this year, is this year 8 now, Jason? What
I'm going to year 10.
Hell yeah, year 10. Sorry, don't let me shortchange you there.
Oh, you're good.
That's really impressive. The ups and downs, the NFL, it's so easy to get replaced, and what do you think contributes to you staying motivated? Even then, it's like year 10, you've accomplished a lot of things. How do you stay motivated and driven every day?
I think it's a little two-step process for me, mentally. The road I took to get in, I don't want to just give it up, that easy. But then going hand in hand with that, I try and, in my mind, treat every year or every week just like I'm a rookie, right? Like putting in all the work, no shortcuts. Granted, there's getting older. There's some pros that come with being older, and where you're sitting on the plane and stuff. But the way I like to work is, I like to work like as if I am a rookie. And then there's always someone coming for your job. There's only 32 of us, so you just gotta put in more work than everyone else and just stay true to that. Stay true to what you learn along the way. Little tweaks you make here or there, but just stay true to who you are. Stay true to your process, your routine, and just never let anything really no cutting corners or anything like that. Just keep putting the work in, and you look back and year 10 and you're like, okay, now it's time to reset the career mind and get back to being a rookie again, and put some more years in. So
well, carrying that rookie mentality, I think that's really beneficial to think about and have in whatever your career you're doing. Okay, when you played soccer, Jason, just a quick question here. What were you, attacker? You were a midfielder? What'd you play?
when I played club soccer, I was like an outside back. I played high school. Freshman year, I played up top, and then played center mid for a couple of years. And then my last year, I'd start at center mid. We had a pretty good team my senior year. So I started center mid. We go up, a goal or two. Then I go back to sweeper and finish off some games. So it's more like defensive. I love to just dish the ball out and just make some tackles and win some headers. So it's kind of I love the the gritty, grimy kind of work. So that was more my thing.
The aggressiveness, right? The aggressive
Yeah.
aspect of the game. That's same way too. I feel like even, I'm no NFL athlete, but I do play indoor soccer. Okay, at a local indoor soccer place. Okay, and I even now, at my old age of 29, turn 29 tomorrow, I feel like I know when to expect the ball to ricochet a certain way, or I know how to bring the ball down and kind of, when I can take my time and when I can, I have to play fast. Do you feel like you get the sense now in year 10 of your NFL career, like, okay, I kind of know when I need to push myself or when I'm in that group? Does that happen in your mind?
Yes and no. If you're going through a tough stretch, you're like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's sit down. Let's watch some film. Let's get with the people you trust. Um, is your body right? Are you mentally doing what you want to do? In terms of speed and stuff, like I try and games, you're always gonna get sped up. So it's always about how slow can I move, knowing that adrenaline's going to take over for your speed. You're going to be on time. Your tempo is going to be fine. But I think it's in terms of speed. No, I think I try and move as slow as possible, knowing the adrenaline's going to pick up on game day. But if there's things I need to fix, again, going back to the routine, I know the people I can go to help me do what I need to do to figure stuff out, and who I trust, and um, who's in my corner and stuff like that. So um, I keep small circles, so I know who I can trust. So
Yeah, that's huge, right? To have those people that you can use as a soundboard to bounce off your ideas of, hey, this is what I think, or this is went wrong in this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, absolutely. That's interesting too. When can you tell, or is there a defining factor when you're like, okay, my tempo, I'm way too fast? Is it a hips thing where you can see that your hips are in front of where they're normally at, or when do you know that your tempo is off?
It could be hard. There's sometimes where kick won't go in. I'm just watching the film over and over. I'm like, man, I can't see it. But I like to walk a very thin line of being extremely technical and extremely athletic at the same time. So I can feel when I'm not in the right spot. So usually, if I'm watching film, sometimes there's stuff that pops up, but a lot of times I can feel it right after the kick, and I'll take a little mental note on the sideline, and then when I go back and watch the film, I can kind of see a tiny bit with how I felt and what is shown on the film. And so that's what we talk about with my sports psychologist. I've been working with Nick Novak for 5 years now, and I hit so many balls with him, and so he knows what I'm thinking, what the feels I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to get to, so I can bounce ideas off him also. But I can feel a lot of the stuff because sometimes on film you can't see it, but like if you're feeling it, you can feel your tempo. I can feel, the backswing may be a touch too long for what I want, and it's not really going to show up on film, right? Because you can't really measure exact moments. The angles are already always different on the film, but I can feel it, and then sometimes I can catch stuff off the field that I'll see on film just from that feel alone. So
Interesting. So it's more about making a mental adjustment from there. We're not
mhm.
really physical in that mindset, right?
Like it's not really going to show anything different, but the timing may be, a millisecond quicker on where I'm hitting the ball versus a longer backswing, or if I'm a little bit quick and my balance is a little bit off through the ball. So
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I feel like I'm getting my PhD in kicking, man. I think that's awesome. That's really cool. Well, this has been great, Jason. We like to do a rapid fire section here presented by the Kicker's Bible. Is that cool with you? Rapid
yeah,
fire?
let's do it.
Okay, cool. I'll throw an idea at you. You can expand on it, or you could just say a few sentences and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. As far as challenging weather conditions, now you play in Seattle and that it can get challenging. I know it's closed, but it's not really closed. I've heard you say that before. You know, what's the most challenging weather condition that you've ever kicked in, and how'd you adapt?
It was probably in Seattle a couple years ago. We got a snowstorm on, it was Christmas Eve. So that's the first time I played fully in snow in the NFL, so that took some getting used to with, the footing and the ball contact. But yeah, I mean, anywhere in the north, really, in December, it can get tough. It's balls not flying anywhere, and the wind's just blasting balls, from a shorter distance. So yeah, I mean, all over the north, really. So
Yeah. How do you adapt to that, especially the wind factor? Because that's a common thing.
yeah, you just got to figure out where your apex is. How far is my ball going before it's getting hit by whatever the wind is. So, you just you gotta feel it out pregame. Keeping an eye on the wind. Me and Dixon are just chatting nonstop about condition changes and stuff like that throughout the game. So, and then once you pick a line, just fully commit to it.
And once I see, okay, my apex is 37 yards and then it's starting to like hit a wall. And if I have a 43-yard field goal, what adjustment do I make? Do I try to drive it a little bit more? Do I, stay over it a little bit more? What's your adjustment?
Um, I just try and take a wider target and just I don't want to change any of my technical feels really. I want to hit the same ball and just trust that the ball's going to come back. And if you hit a ball and it's too pure and it goes through the wind, then you can live with that really. But he's fully committed to whatever target you pick is the best for me.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Okay, film wise, do you get into it much? Obviously, you watch your own film. Do you watch much of opponents' film or field goal block stuff? Like, how much of that do you really watch?
Uh, I really I watch every kick around the league every week. Sometimes you can pick up stuff. If it's somewhere I haven't played in a while, I might watch a couple weeks games there just to see if there's any little, the flags are moving this way, but the ball's not moving as much, on kicks. But I'm really just trying to, master my swing, my ball, what I'm doing that week, my tendencies for the last couple of weeks, and just, like again, just going back to just how straight of my best ball can I hit the most. And from then on, you just see pregame what your ball's doing in those conditions and just commit to those.
Yeah. And like you said, if you hit a pure ball and it, doesn't go where you want it to go, well, then you live with it because that's what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay. Kind of talking about high pressure situations, and you kind of hit on this, but high pressure situations, how do you maintain that composure? Is there a breathing technique? I know a lot of people talk about breathing techniques, or is there something you do to tell yourself, hey, this is just the same as any other kick?
A little bit mixed. Definitely breathing, throughout the steps throughout the routine. Again, staying true to your routine. Once you have that, and then sometimes, if there's a big kick, it's just, I kicked back at Maranatha High School back in San Diego, and I can really visualize, like, I can see the backdrops of the mountains there, and I just kind of put myself there and just, it's just me kicking a ball off the sticks there, and I can see that through the uprights, and sometimes I just go to that, and it kind of puts me, like, again, like I said, early on, it just puts you in your own mind, just you're just hitting balls in the off season. It's the same kick, so.
Is that kind of a sports psychology thing, like seeing your happy place or your comfortable place?
I just, I've hit so many balls there over the last 6 years that, like, I can just visualize, that spot, and it's like, there's rolling hills in the back there. I'm sure you guys seen the videos. So many guys have been out there to kick with Nick. I can just see myself on that field there, and it's just a peaceful morning in San Diego, just smacking some balls around. So.
Yeah, man, that's a cool feeling. I definitely have had my own way of doing that with, my dad would always come out there and catch my field goal. So, when I was playing, it was like, hey, being at the local middle school and seeing him, we'd be out there for countless hours. It's almost meditative, it's almost
Mhm.
calming to see yourself out there going through those kicks
Yeah.
over and over again. I can definitely identify with that. Any pregame rituals or superstitions before you have a game?
I mean, I'm not really superstitious, but sometimes it feels like that just because my routine's always the same. I like to get there the same exact time every game. I like to, I run through the same warm up, same time I'm getting dressed, stuff like that. So I mean, I've learned to, sometimes there's times I can't go out on the field as early as I want to because they're pulling the tarp off and stuff like that. So you learn to deal with it. But I just like to stick to my routine. And like I've said a million times, I'm such a big routine guy that I just kind of get lost in my routine sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really cool. And I think a lot more young athletes need to learn that and create a routine because that's how you deal with those tough moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then finishing out here with the best piece of advice you ever received from a fellow kicker or coach.
There's been a lot. I mean, just being yourself. Whatever that is, if you're a talkative person, just be yourself. If you're a quiet person, be yourself. Don't try to be, somebody that you're not. Learn who you are and just through thick and thin, just stay true to yourself. So,
yeah, that's really good. I think, a lot of this time talking to has been about, hey, being yourself. And a lot of people say that, but it's having your own routine, knowing what, well, just resaying what you said, knowing what makes you tick and what works for you, and then really owning that. I think a lot of guys miss on that, or, you hear, hey, be yourself, but there's no real clear path to doing that. But having a routine.
and it gets tough too when, you go through tough times. It's people just want to jump off the ship and just try something new. But, a lot of times you're going to get back on track a lot faster if you just stay true to yourself versus trying something out, doesn't work, and then try something else out, doesn't work, and then, okay, maybe I'll go back to what I do. Oh, okay, now it's working again. But, you spent so much time trying to try other things that, if you just got back to what you do best and, the fundamentals that make your swing and, your work, what you do, things will, get back on track a lot faster. So
Elite boys and girls. That's why Jason is great at what he does. I think that's really cool. Great advice, man. Thanks. I feel like I've learned more from this talk than the last 6 months of listening to, other stuff and reading other stuff. So really cool. Thanks for coming on, Jason. You got anything going on? Anything you want to plug here going forward?
Do have a free camp coming up in San Diego. Have a ton of great coaches, some NFL guys coming, fully free. So that'll be out here in a couple weeks for the sign up. So anybody that wants to learn from some great coaches and stuff will be out there in San Diego. So anybody can come.
Absolutely. Learn from the best of the best. Where is that? Is it Maranatha High School?
It'll be at Maranatha this year. Yeah, last year was at my high school in down Chula, but this year will be at Maranatha. Yeah, a lot of great. Guys from Arizona coming out to coach. Guys from Alabama. Novak will be there. I'll be there. We'll have some current NFL guys sprinkled in. And like I said, it's totally free. So, but there will be a cutoff. So once the sign up goes out, make sure you sign up. So
absolutely. When June-ish, July?
It'll be June 29th
Yeah.
in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on. Absolutely. Well, we can't wait for that to happen. Definitely tell guys to go to that because that's going to be some great coaching. So, all right, Jason. Well, we appreciate it, man. This has been so beneficial, not just for me, but for high school athletes, people aspiring to be like you and accomplish what you've accomplished because you've had so much success. Anything else? Any other words of advice here as you leave the pod?
I think we covered a lot today. So
we did. We really did, man. I appreciate it. We can talk about that for hours. That's been Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks and the Iceman podcast. I'd like to announce our newest sponsor, Special Teams Outfitters. Special Teams Outfitters has the newest and hottest gear for specialists by specialists. Use the code IMP10 to receive 10% off Special Teams Outfitters shirt. They've got many different options. Some new golf/specialists label gear that's really sick. You need to check it out. For all your specialist needs, go to Special Teams Outfitters. Again, that's code IMP10. Gear up with Special Teams Outfitters and stay cool under pressure. Thanks for listening. And make sure you give us a follow or a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Music if you're so inclined to do so. For any questions or suggestions on further guests, follow us at Iceman Coaching on Twitter or on Instagram, and check out our website, icemankicking.com, for updates and new talks and podcasts. Check out our TikTok for the best clips of the newest episodes. Tune in next week for another awesome guest. I'm Brett Arkellian, and for everyone at the Iceman podcast, so long and stay cool under pressure.
Roll another one cause I'm winning. In my photo,